where we're joined by Honorable Dan Asukwo, Chairman, House Committee on Power. Thank you for joining us, Dan.
Thank you.
Honorable Asukwo, if I do recall correctly, you used to be in the executive at the local government level.
Yeah, that's correct. About 1999 to 2002.
Okay, so you do understand how the executive works and in relation to the legislature. How would you expect the executive to work the 2017 budget based on, with the adjustments that have been made, that may or may not be based on the data that the executive had in doing the proposals?
Yeah, first of all, I appreciate the explanations or the narrations of the legal practitioner, Joe, but I think that when we are in such a position to be able to educate Nigerians on what is the dictates of the law, I think we should stick by what the law says and not to add anything that is our own contraptions of personal thoughts or sentiments. He's very right. The Nigerian Constitution is very clear, and the arms of government are very distinct, and the rules are very clear. But for him to say that the Constitution did not give or did not say how the legislature was to, we don't have power, there's no other arm oversighting us, that's not true. We were elected by the Nigerian people, and this is not something that we should push aside. We always go to the Nigerian people every 4 years, and as a matter of fact, quarterly, or the case may be, to give reports of what our representation is based on what the electioneering promises was at the time which we were looking for the Nigerian vote. So we are oversighted by the Nigerian people, and that is why it is called the Parliament of the Nigerian people. And the executive, by law, is being oversighted by the Parliament, while of course the judiciary interprets the Constitution and the acts as it is that comes out of the National Assembly. So the process of budget making is very clear, and I need to state it clearly that it is a part of the National Assembly, and it is not in any way to distort what the executive has presented and giving birth to a dragon the way it's been narrated by the legal practitioner. The facts are clear. We engage the executive at the point of our oversight on the previous budget, because as money is being proposed, the bills are being passed to law, then of course the duty of executive to expend on the line-by-line items as provided. But in most cases, Nigerians are not brought into the scheme of things to know what we see when we go for oversight. So at the end of the day, when a new budget is coming when a new budget is being prepared, it is just the minister and his civil servants that sit down to put what they think is proper by what they think is their mandate. But let us not lose the fact that in Nigeria today, we have at 3 tiers of government. We have the federal government, the state, and the local government. At the federal government, we have the president and the vice who contested the election. They are the ones who went to the Nigerian people to seek for vote. Any minister or any other person working under them, it's an appointee of them carrying out their mandate. We also went to the Nigerian people to seek for votes, and we have, of course, a purpose where there was a reason why we went for the elections, and we had promises. And these promises means that we are tied with the executive at the federal level to deliver on our electioneering promises. And so when the executive comes with a proposal, it is a proposal not for them but for the Nigerian people. And so we have done oversight to see what is visible, what is needed, and if you make a proposal, it is our duty as a responsible house to bring to bear the facts and the needs of the people. So at the end of the day, if you ask for 1 naira and we see that the 1 naira you ask for is not in tune with the realities for what Nigerians want, and it's not what we think that Nigerians will get value for money for, it is our duty to do what is needed, and that is what we have done. So the issue of saying that...
If I may come in here, if you don't mind, if I may come in here. Before you came on, we had Dr. Adi talk to us about the processes of the budget. The Budget Office has data it works with to put together that budget. Now, when the legislature decides to make adjustments in the budget. Do you discuss this with the budget office, your proposals to make adjustments, or you make the adjustments arbitrarily, regardless of the data they have in preparing that budget?
Well, very, very, very correct. Budget office has the data. The data is budget office data. But why are we in government? There's supposed to be cross-fertilization of ideas. There's supposed to be communication. There's supposed to be interaction. So when budget office sits alone and say they have a data, was the data in conjunction with the realities of what the people want? Was it a no of the National Assembly, which you know have the powers to make that document you've brought, which is a mere proposal from the executive, which it only becomes law. So clearly you know that at the point that that document comes to the House and the President lays it, any other intentions in that document is dead on arrival. It only comes alive when the legislature has finished its input into it. So we do not do anything out of what we do is we invite the executive and say, okay, tell us, what are your intentions? And they make that, and we bring the facts of what we've seen in the field during our oversight, because in most cases, we want to align what is ongoing with what is provided for.
Okay.
And if we see things that are not in line with what we think we had seen during our oversight and the clear needs of the people, we will try to adjust it to make sure it comes in line with the realities of what the Nigerian people need.
Okay,
Value
Honorable,
for money is what we're talking about here.
Honorable, I hear you and I hear you clearly. The proposal that came was a total of 7.3 trillion. By the time you all finished your work with it, it was up to 7.44. Already, the budget had a deficit. You jacked it up even a bit more. Any thoughts as to how government was supposed to get the money to implement what you now propose, which is higher than what they sent to you?
Well, you also have to know that at the point of presenting of the budget, there were basic indices for arriving at what were the expectations of receipts from government. And if, for instance, with the layman understanding, the government proposed that they were going to sell 2 million barrels at, say, $40, and we, the House, subjected up to say that the realities of international markets and projections is such that we will make $2 extra. That $2 extra is provided as receipts into the budget, and needs of the Nigerian people is made available to accommodate that extra $2. So it's not that there's an increment. It is because there's going to be excess receipts of funds or income that is coming to the executive. And in most cases, when those incomes are not detailed, are not provided for in details as provided for by the fiscal responsibility, it is being abused by the executive most times. So we need to put details of what those extra funds will be used for. So there's no increment as such. It is because there is actual revenue that we're expecting to come in as, of course, additional revenue to government. And we provide needs of what we think those monies should be used for.
Okay.
So there wasn't actually an increase.
We're staying with you, but just answer this one real quick, then we'll come back to Lagos and we'll come back to you later on. Now, you said to me about things on ground as against the proposals made by the executives. You've seen things on ground, you know that there's need for roads. The Lagos-Ibadan Expressway was one of those that needed to be worked on, and a budget of about 31 billion was made, but out of that 21 billion was diverted, according to some sources, diverted to constituency projects by the legislature. How would that work towards rebuilding Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and indeed all the other projects that there might be?
Well, I think that I attended the meeting where we had an interaction with the executive. That interaction was actually overseen by the Deputy Senate President, and we went through some of these issues that have come up on the electronic media and other people being concerned about it. we had a simple agreement with the executive, and there was clear explanations for cuts or adjustments here and there. And I can clearly tell you that the issues of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is not as it is said here. I remember that the chairman of the Committee on Work of the Senate and the House clearly had an engagement with the Honorable Minister, and they made him to know that there's supposed to be an arrangement where, of course, there was to put private funding of that project from somewhere. And so putting the whole money for that particular road project would, of course, not be necessary because there is an arrangement. Mind you, this particular project has issues of litigations here and there. And so it is the responsibility of the House to look at all these issues in line with what the executive expects. And I am sure that there was clear engagement with them at that level. So if there's these issues we're talking about today, that money was cut, it's not true.
Okay.
There's nowhere that the budget of the Ministry of Works in particular was diverted to constituency project. What happened, I was there, the chairman and Committee on Works clearly said that provision was cut down because there was an agreement with, I think by Courtney and those that were involved in the project to get funding, and that road was supposed to be tolled or something. Okay. So, and the other funds was put into other ongoing projects.
All right.